Hey everyone, it's Jack from WhatCulture.com. Now, could we have seen the best wrestling trilogy ever? Last week we saw the third installment of Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega, and many are saying, including Dave Meltzer, that it could have been the conclusion of the best trilogy in the history of the professional wrestling business. Now, the great thing about this trilogy is that Omega and Okada, not only did they have three fantastic matches, arguably the best three matches of the year, they also managed to make each one a little bit different. The first one at Wrestle Kingdom in January was kind of just an all-out battle, both guys throwing the very best they had at each other, took a lot of people by surprise with just how good it was. The second one was more of a drawn-out epic, which obviously went to that 1 hour time limit draw, and also, involved the inclusion of the Bullet Club and all that kind of storyline with Cody. And then this third one was unquestionably the most brutal of the three, with many attacks focused on the neck, some genuinely horrible spots, including that reverse Rana on the floor where Okada looked legitimately injured until, Omega cleared the trainers out of the way and got him back into the ring. It was the shortest of the three as well, but it was certainly, it's not my favourite, but it was the most impactful and the most hard to watch. But my question to you is, do you agree with Dave Meltzer? Do you think this is the best wrestling trilogy ever in the history of the business, or do you think it's something else? I'm just going to throw a few alternatives out there for you to consider. Remember to leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Dave Meltzer cited Flair versus Steamboat for the classicists amongst you out there. He said that yes, it was very good for the time, but he also preferred Omega and Okada. He said that obviously, technically and mechanically in the ring, they were far superior. It's the future, things progress and all the rest of it. But he also said that psychology-wise as well, he preferred the more modern trilogy. Personally, I'm going to have to give a shout out to Steve Austin versus The Rock. The second match in their trilogy at WrestleMania 17 is maybe my favorite match of all time. I think so. The first match they had wasn't quite on the level of the other two, but the second match at WrestleMania 17 was the peak, and then I think their third match was kind of the bittersweet ending with The Rock going off to Hollywood. Richard's nodding in agreement behind the camera. Are you a big fan of that trilogy?
Big fan of the WrestleMania 19 match.
Are you a big fan of the 19 one as well? Yeah, it's emotional, isn't it? Oh, it is. Yeah, really good stuff. If you're a more modern, more recent fan, and you're a fan of being massively sports entertained, you may go for controversial one, Lesnar versus Goldberg. Obviously their first match was terrible, but it made their second match all the more shocking and just maybe the most raw surprise and shock that I've felt as a wrestling fan in the past maybe like decade or something, maybe even longer. That really short match was quite something. And then the match at WrestleMania this year was kind of just 6 minutes of two guys who have all their special moves just loaded up on WWE 2K and just decide to blast each other with them. Probably not in the same league as the other trilogies I've mentioned so far, but something that arguably would be Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels. Now that I'm sort of like thinking about this in my head as I say it, I reckon that HBK versus Taker is the closest challenger WWE have got to Omega versus Okada in terms of the best trilogy ever. If you count their trilogy as the first match at Bad Blood where Kane made his debut, the match at WrestleMania 25 and their rematch at WrestleMania 26 as well. Probably a trilogy that fans are a lot more familiar with than, the recent New Japan trilogy, not just because it happened this year, but because people generally have less access to New Japan. But if you do, I'd urge you to watch all three matches in the Omega versus Okada series, and hopefully we see them do battle many more times in the future. Of course, I was going to mention who won the G1 Climax, but Richard hasn't seen it yet, and I'm sure a lot of you haven't yet as well, and would kill me if I say nasty things in my mentions if I mention spoilers, so I'm not going to do that right now. But let us know what you think in the comment section below. Did you enjoy the trilogy? You should have. And do you think it's the best trilogy of all time? I've been Jack from WhatCulture.com. Thank you very much for watching this little news piece / opinion piece, I guess. And I'll see you soon.